I'm Robin Gagnon.
And I'm Eric Gagnon, and we sell restaurants. We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm, We Sell Restaurants, over a decade ago. You can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com.
We are on your radio once a week with the leading authorities in this industry talking about subjects that are trending in the restaurant business. Tweet your own questions on the topic while we're on the air to our Twitter handle. You know it. It's Sell Restaurants. Post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/We Sell Restaurants. And if we don't get to your question, trust we'll get back to you on social media.
Our goal is to satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. If you have any ideas or comment about the show, you can email me. My email is eric@WeSellRestaurants.com.
Some food service brands are already mainstays in supermarket aisles. You know the ones we're talking about. Browse the frozen food section and you'll find White Castle, Nathan's, Carvel, Friendly's, TGI Fridays, and California Pizza Kitchen ready to take home and eat. It doesn't stop there. Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts are filling the coffee aisles with their branded offerings, and Hooters Wing Sauce is on sale in the spice aisle. Once a rare appearance, now it's entirely common to see that special sauce or rub from your favorite dish in the aisle at Whole Foods as well as on the menu at your favorite restaurants. Our guests today have achieved remarkable results in taking their restaurant products from restaurant to retail. We are hoping they will share their success and struggles with our listeners today as they show us how to successfully monetize their product and move it through alternate distribution channels. They are way outside their restaurant footprint. They are in Whole Foods and Walmart.
So for that topic today, we are joined by President and CEO of Atlanta Bread Company, Jerry Couvaras, whose franchise bakery concept has expanded far beyond the franchise footprint with his baked goods sold in stores ranging from Whole Foods to Sam's Club. Jerry is a strategist, a visionary, and a leader. His early career success in South Africa saw him thrive in investment banking, where he gained invaluable internal exposure in a wealth of industries. This afforded him limitless opportunity once here in the U.S. Upon making Atlanta his home some 20-something years ago, he saw a sandwich change as a smart early investment, not for what it was, but for what it could be. He soon capitalized on the company's expansion's potential to set new standards in the market. Recognition for such initiative came rapidly. In 2003, he was a finalist for Ernst & Young's Southeast Businessman of the Year. Today, Bake One and Atlanta Bread develop and supply new products innovation for some of the largest global customer base here in the U.S. while exporting to 15 different countries. Jerry continues to stand as a model of success. He's been a guest speaker at recognized establishments and featured in high-profile business publications, including Donald Trump, The Way to the Top. He graciously serves as a trustee of the Woodruff Arts Center and sits on the board of directors of the Hirsch Academy. And he's also a board member of Concord Fire Soccer Club. Jerry, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. It's good to be here today.
Great. And we are also joined by chef, owner, restaurateur, and author Steve DiFillippo of Davios Northern Italian Steakhouse. His brand is in Atlanta at Phipps Plaza, Boston, Philadelphia, and Maine. This consummate restaurateur and culinary school graduate has taken his brand outside these locations and into more than 3,000 stores, including Costco, Big Y, and BJ's. The Davios frozen food line of popular spring rolls, great topics like Philly cheesesteak, buffalo chicken, shrimp cojita, and chicken parmesan are in the coolers at stores in more than 40 states across the U.S. Steve is a graduate of Boston University and the Cambridge School of Culinary Arts. He is very involved in the community, serving on several nonprofit boards. It all started at the age of 24 when Steve purchased an established restaurant called Davios in Boston's Back Bay. That was his first in succession of popular restaurants, changing his concept to Northern Italian Steakhouse. In 2008, he was inducted into the Massachusetts Restaurant Hall of Fame, and 2014 was named that association's Restaurateur of the Year. He is also author of the book, It's All About the Guest, Exceeding Expectations in Business and in Life, the Davios Way. Thank you for joining us today, Steve.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
Great.
Good. And completing our panel for today, we have the pleasure of talking to Tanner Agar, Chief Entrepreneur of the Chef Shelves. Tanner Agar worked as a chef and server in fine dining in Canada, United States, and Spain. While he was a student at TCU, he started the Chef Shelf to help chefs and restaurants package their award-winning recipes and connect customers to the flavor they love through products, videos, and recipes. Tanner also hosts a 15-second cooking show on Instagram. Tanner, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, great panel. So let's get started, because some say that restaurant brands evoke good feelings in the supermarket and expand customer relationships and grow sales. Do you agree? Steve, let's start with you, because you have those spring rolls sold in more than 3,000 locations, and they are branded with your store name, Davios, correct?
Correct.
So do you believe, in fact, that those restaurant brands will, in the supermarket, will drive more customers to your actual traditional locations?
Yes. When we first started it, years ago, we thought that people would have been to Davios and then would see the product and then buy it. But in fact, it's actually the reverse, because now we're in so many different stores. People don't know the restaurant. They buy the product, enjoy the product so much, then they come to the restaurant. In fact, there's people, because my picture's on the side of the box, embarrassingly, and people will come in and go, "Is the guy in the box here?" They have no idea who I am. But so it just shows you that it's a great thing it's a great thing to be in all these stores, because it just makes your brand even more well known. So when people come, we're in New York City, Boston, Philly, Atlanta, so it just really helps our brand grow. It helps me with new deals with landlords. It's just amazing being in all these stores, how helpful it's been to our brand.
That's great.
Never mind that on a snowy day in Boston, when no one goes out to eat, we're in supermarkets where everybody seems to go and buy their products for the storm. So, it really helps during the winter when your sales go down. So it's a good.
What about you, Jerry? Do you see the same kind of interaction synergy between your retail brands and the Atlanta Bread stores?
Yes, absolutely. I think we've had a lot of success with people going into the various supermarket chains that we're in, and we've seen that boost the sales in the retail cafes, where people walk in and looking for those products. I think it's important, though, and I don't know what Steve does. Are those products, Steve, the exact same as what you have in the restaurant that you have in the supermarkets?
Yes.
Do you keep that consistent?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they're the same product. In fact, we make it ourselves. We have our own factory, a USDA place, where I am in control of, and we make this, because my opinion is if someone has that product from the stores and it's not good, then that could really hurt your brand, because they're never going to come to your restaurant. So you got to make sure that product is really, really good. In fact, it's not better than you have in your store, because they're never coming in. And you're going to get emails, you're going to get complaints. It's a huge problem. Everyone thinks, once I'm in stores, it's all easy. It's not. You got to make sure that stuff is good.
Right. I think that's the key, is everything you have has got to be good. Whether it's in the restaurant or on the supermarket shelf, it's got to be consistent. And I think the same sort of product has got to be available everywhere. I think some of these brands, and it's natural, if it's frozen, it may be compromised. I think there's a level of expectation that some customers have with regards to a frozen product or shelf-stable product compared to a fresh product. Certainly in the baked goods arena, we have excellent product in these cafes, and we have excellent product in the supermarket chains. But it's not always exactly the same. It's almost like Starbucks. I don't think you can replicate. Some people can, but where you have to make that product, the full Starbucks experience at home, I think it becomes a little difficult. So sometimes you do rely on, they know the brand, and it's great for the brand boost, they get the exposure, but not everyone's a Starbucks barista at home. So I think there's levels of expectation. I think customers automatically calibrate the expectations from fresh, in particular restaurants, to that it's been on the shelf, and it has been on the shelf for a while. It is frozen, or whatever the case may be. So I think there's a good level of expectation if you're buying a Hooters wing sauce that you may not grilled in the same way or fried in the same way. I think that's, but it doesn't deviate from the fact that the brand you do get brand equity with high quality products.
I think that's great information. And Tanner, we want to bring you into the conversation, because you actually help folks package their goods and push them out through alternate distribution channels. So how do you help identify a product that should be at retail?
Well, Jerry is absolutely right. You want a product that is really going to represent your brand, something that customers identify with you. A barbecue sauce is almost the perfect example. But you also want something that is unique. The best-selling product on the chef's shelf is a sweet ancho chili relish. It's really different than what's out there on the market. People love it when they're at Sevy's Grill here in Dallas, and we ship it all across the country because they know it's going to be that quality and that flavor that they identify with the chef. And that's the real key if you're going to start building a product.
Great.
Yep. I think if I can just add to that, we, similar to Steve, we also have a 140,000, 138,000 square foot facility, and we manufacture all the doughs and the finished goods ourselves. So we're probably more involved in manufacture of baked goods than we are in restaurant. But having said that, the quality and control of that quality, and Davios obviously has that, Atlanta Bread has that, because we really control the manufacturing. I think it's vital that if someone's going to give out their brand to a third-party manufacturer, that there's tremendous amount of stringent controls with what they can use, what they cannot use, and making sure that spec is followed through, irrespective of commodities, rather increase the price than reduce the quality and compromise the brand. Because, as Steve said earlier, this can hurt you big time if this is not replicated properly.
And Jerry, go ahead, Steve. You want to add to that?
Well, I just want to say that you can't do everything that you have on your menu. You got to find the right things that can be duplicated, that somebody can take out of the freezer and warm up or defrost and then cook or whatever. You just can't take everything. There's just certain things that, as you know, freeze well and then go in the microwave or go in ovens. Like, we don't usually do things in a microwave. That kind of messes our products up. So you just have to know which is the right stuff. And it takes a lot of practice. It just doesn't happen. I have a lot of people that call me who want to get their stuff in stores, and I laugh because it takes a long time to figure it out. So.
Well, that's a great segue to my question here to Jerry. Atlanta Bread is also a franchise company with many locations, and I know you do a lot of research and development, and you have a team for that. Is that team help or work in conjunction, or is it the same teams that also develop retail restaurant product?
Our company, we run with 4 R&D chefs. We have 1 food chef and 3 pastry chefs. And the pastry chefs, what we do, we have certain customers. We don't sell to everybody. We are very selective. So if we sell to one category, we try not to sell to everybody. So we kind of keep our product exclusive, and we keep our R&D exclusive. We try and sell to really the bigger retail. We have very large machines. So when our machines run, to give you an idea, we run, on one machine 52,000 muffins an hour. So
wow.
We really need, we need volume.
That's unbelievable.
We run 52,000 muffins, and that's one line. And we have 4 lines. We've just ordered a 5th. So we have a tremendous amount of volume. We do a lot of R&D. The chefs have got to, understand the quality, the point of difference. And then what's important with our chefs is they also, they've learned the machinery, because when you and in every application, when you're making something on the bench, when you're making any product at home, and then you're manufacturing it, or in a restaurant, and then you're taking it to a machine, and then you're putting some sort of enzyme, even if it's a natural or not a natural enzyme in that product, then you're obviously compromising, or you may compromise that product. But everything changes. It's all science. Cooking, baking is all about the science. So there's a tremendous amount of hard work, as I've just heard, hard work, practice, testing that goes in to replicate these products so that they are perfect. Give you an idea, when we deal with Whole Foods, for example, everything has to be natural. We use cage-free eggs. So it's not an inexpensive product, and it's got to replicate well, and it's got to have a good bite and a very good taste.
So you have to satisfy your brand demands as well as the person you're selling into, their brand demands, because obviously Whole Foods stands for natural and organic and those types of things.
Absolutely. And in certain instances, our R&D's outdone, or not outdone the brand, but there's certain things where we don't go in with our brand because our brand is not consistent with certain other supermarket brands and their alignment with certain things. So what we do is we've actually gone into co-packing and doing other things with various supermarket chains. So it's actually taken a life of its own. Our factory and our facility has taken a life of its own, and that's why we actually call it a different name. And we do a lot of work for other food service companies that sometimes, chains that are sometimes competitive with even Atlanta Bread Company. And we just keep that separate. We honor those agreements, the confidentiality, and it's worked very well for us.
Now, you mentioned earlier, Jerry, Starbucks, and USA Today quoted the Starbucks CEO, Howard Schultz, as saying that he, quote, wants Starbucks products to be as frequently purchased at a grocery store as at a Starbucks store. Would that be your ultimate goal, or do you how do you balance that between store performance and retail level performance?
I think everybody, is if you have the level of exposure and preeminence that Starbucks has, and you are known as, almost like Coke is, and they become the Starbucks to the coffee. I think that level of preeminence, they would like that preeminence to be retail anywhere and the coffee anywhere. Whether you're having it at home, you're having it in their stores, or whether you're having it in the supermarkets, they just are trying to get that preeminence in the supermarket chains. And it is everywhere. It's from the lower level supermarket chains, the very inexpensive ones, to the most expensive ones. So they have achieved that level of preeminence, and I think that's what he means by that. I cannot speak for him, but I would imagine that's what he would try to do. I think that's everyone's goal, is to try and have a store in every corner or every major market that they can be in. And I think there's definitely a great demand for brands to be in supermarket chains because there's a trust. People have a trust. They've been into these restaurants and cafes and they've experienced it, and there's a level of care. Whereas some of the other brands, if you look at Davios' competing brands or Atlanta Bread's competing brands, whether it be bakery or pasta or whatever it may be, what happens is we're competing against brands that really don't have a face. There's no level of preeminence other than a supermarket. And so there's no real face. We have people with their names on the boxes. So there's a level of trust in that product, and you don't necessarily even have to trust individuals. You can walk in and look at their restaurants, and they're there to complain to or not. We've had compliments. People walking into our cafes and complimenting, on the stuff they bought at Sam's. It happens often.
Great. Let's get story. Tanner to weigh in here. Eric, don't you have a question for him?
Tanner, let me switch gear a little bit. I know we're just talking about 52,000 muffin an hour, and I'm still kind of shaken by that. But let's take this back down a couple of notch here, and then let's talk about online sales and maybe some smaller people. So I know you work with some brands. They start online and everything. Can you tell us a bit about that sales process and how the funnel works for that?
Yeah, of course. I wish we were processing 52,000 muffins an hour. That would be great. But the people we work with a lot of times just don't do that kind of volume. We work with kind of one-off restaurants where the head chef is there every night at that one location. And like Jerry said, it's so important that the product represent them, who they are, their name, because if a product goes out, it's their name, it's their one location, it's their customers who buy it a lot of times. But what happens, at the smaller level, people really want to start small because it protects you and it protects your ability to create a great product. So many restaurants already have a commercial kitchen. It's something you can easily get a food manufacturer's license for and produce in really small runs, test the market, not a lot of investment. And then you can start, as you see success, to go get a co-packer, maybe like the Atlanta Bread Company if you're at that size, and be able to really generate that next level of product. But to start off with, many people are able to produce in their own kitchen.
So, Steve, let's get you to weigh in because I pulled some numbers and I was really surprised. 2 years ago, the National Restaurant Association forecast reported that 59% of fine dining, 54% of family dining, 41% of fast casual, 37% of quick service, I'm killing you guys with the numbers, I know, and 35% of casual dining operators have retail packaged food in some form or fashion. Maybe it's only a sauce, but that's much higher than what I would have expected when we started researching this show. Is that consistent with what you see in the marketplace?
Those numbers seem high to me.
I know.
I mean, I'm really surprised about that. I think it's great. I think the more restaurant stuff that's in supermarkets and stores, I think is good for me because then people get used to buying that. So maybe one day they buy us, and one day, well, I guess if you think about Fridays, you think about that Asian place. I'm thinking of can't think of it, but there's a lot of
Chang.
Think about it. Yeah, the Chang place there. You see their stuff. You see Wolfgang Puck. A lot of these celebrity chefs now have their stuff now. Guy Fieri and Mario Batali and all those guys. So I guess it is getting more and more popular, which I think is fantastic.
Good. Jerry, let me ask you about this. I mean, supermarket shelf space, cooler space is incredibly competitive. Everybody knocks on Whole Food stores or all these grocery stores and retail outlets for some shelves. So how do you work the distribution channel to set that up and get space on there?
Well, the first thing, when you're seeing a buyer is it's very involved, because we don't just go in there with an existing product. We have chefs because we really are a solutions-based company. So what we will do research on their competitors. We will do research on our competitors, our competing products in that Whole Foods or whichever customer, and then we will research it for. It could be months, sometimes a year, and we will come up with a set of packaging of ingredients of products that we think they have to have. They don't know what they need. We are working on today what a lot of our customers or potential customers are going to need tomorrow. They don't know it yet, but we are working on what they need. And that's a lot of the research that we do. So our chefs, we go out, we shop, we look at their competitors, we look at our competitors, and we design. And I will tell you, I think why restaurants are better. I think restaurants are better than the chefs right now, and I'll tell you why. I think the innovation is coming from the chefs from the chains. So even while the innovation today is coming from the chefs are generally in restaurants. They could be on TV channels, but there's more trust when a chef has a restaurant like Emma or a Wolfgang Puck.
I want to get Steve to weigh in on that when we come back from our break, because I think it's a fascinating topic, and I know that our listeners want to know, how did it launch? How do you grab that space? Yeah. What is your opportunity to get in there? But we're going right into a hard break, so hang on just a moment. This is Eric and Robin Gagnon, the Restaurant Brokers. We are talking about restaurant products that are going far beyond the traditional restaurant doors and into retail distribution. We are joined by Jerry Couvaras of Atlanta Bread, with baked goods available in stores like Whole Foods. Chef Steve DiFillippo, whose Davios frozen spring rolls are in 3,000 locations, and Tanner Agar from Chef Shelf. Hang on as we satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success.